Alright, welcome back to my boring ass franchise rebuild of the Arizona Cardinals. Hopefully, we will get them their first championship. Uh, but what I want to actually talk about in this video is my schemes for offense and defense. Just briefly going over my offense because I've already been going over that, how I'm doing a run and shoot. But I'm just going to show you my custom playbook, how it's not really changed that much from the plain run and shoot playbook that's already in the game. And I basically just run the plays that are in that playbook. And now and then I use some of the plays that I added in, but not really. I was actually thinking about just sticking with the base playbook. But on defense, I do have a lot of things mixed. But if I wasn't using my custom playbook on defense, I would use either multiple D or the Patriots, and I'll explain why, even though I am liking some formations that are not in those playbooks. But before I do, let's take a look at this here. So uh, I'm using what's already in the run and shoot playbook, which is spread and trips open from the pistol. I think I might have added a couple of run plays in here, and I think I added the jet and the fake jet and maybe a couple other plays into this formation. And then I added trips open or trips left open because I like that RPO read bubble and I like some of these other pass plays here. And so I don't even really use this because the other plays have been working so well for me. But these are just some plays and some different runs and RPOs that I would use, or they were close to ones that I would use in other playbooks. So to help me transition to the run and shoot, I wanted to put these in, but I think I'm transitioning pretty well where it's not a big deal. Now in uh, single back, all I did was just add some plays to both of these. Not even sure if I really did. I think I added this slot option, and I would each time I add something, I add 3 plays. So I think I added a couple other pass plays and stuff into this. Trips open. Again, I might have just added some plays, but it's basically just what it is. Shotgun. Uh, I again added some plays to the formations that were already here. I added this formation because of oh crap. Let me just pick a play and go back. Sorry about that. Accidentally picked a play. Because you see that motion there on the slots fades, and then you can do the double halfback screen, and over to the right you got the motion in and up. I kind of like the weird motion, and then it's a different play every time, and it's like a double pass. So it's kind of cool. I wanted to play around with that. Haven't really done it though, and I do like red zone scissor. So I was like, yeah, I'll use this. It gets a cool RPO read bubble in this, and it's still using the spread just like I'm normally doing. It does have a tight end, but if you can't sub them out with the packages here, I think. Nope, that doesn't do it. That doesn't do it. Alright, let's see here. I can't do packages. I mean, I can't do subs while in practice, which I think is kind of dumb. But anyway, I added that formation. I haven't really been using it. Left to 5 uh, wide receiver trips and spread slot close. I added empty quads because I would use this a lot in Madden 24 using the Ravens playbook. So I kind of like it. left flanker close alone. And this formation here, trip slot close, has become my favorite. Definitely for passing because it has like 2 runs, the inside zone and a draw. So I like to pass out of this, and then I will, if I really need to run, I'll come and I'll audible over to trips where I have, a quick base, a sweep, and I like to use that speed option because you can get your big running back that I like to use out on the outside, and then you can run over their corners. So that's what I'm doing on the offense. I'm not going to really break down the plays and show that right now. I just wanted to show you what I'm doing in my season. But let's flip sides here so I can show you what I'm doing on defense. I think I'm going to have to just pick a play and run it before it'll let me switch. So let's just do that. Alright, let's take forever. Okay. So I got the 3-3-5 penny, but we're not going to focus on that. We'll start with a base defense. I like to use the 3-3-4 odd, and that puts your defensive tackle right there on the center, right in front of him in a zero technique. It puts the defensive ends pretty much lined up on the tackles, the left and right tackle. Maybe a little bit inside. So they're doing like I guess a 4 technique, and just kind of lined up right there. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I like that it's the way the defensive line is lined up. It's hard for them to do not just inside zones, but also to do anything that's pulling a guard. Like if they want to do a trap or the quick 45 there, or any kind of pulling action, it's a little bit more difficult when you're coming out in this kind of alignment where you're not doing an even or odd. And that's why I also have the bear here. It's the similar alignment, except you bring the strong safety down. But I'm mainly using this odd when it's, let's say, red zone. In the red zone, this is good. You got everything mirrored up. You can come out in that Tampa 2 in the red zone because it's a little bit difficult for them to get past your corners to get to the honey hole, to get past the corners and to the sideline before the safety can get there, and the linebacker can get to the middle of the field before they can do any kind of post route, right? So if they want to do some kind of fade streak on the outside or some kind of post that would kill a cover 2, or even a corner route could do pretty good damage against a cover 2. When you're in the red zone, it tightens things up, so they're not able to do that so well. So you can come out in the Tampa 2, or come out, which a lot of people do, the cover 4 drop show 2, and this has been working out pretty well. Sometimes when they get like to the 5, you might want to shade down, shade outside, pinch your whole defense. Maybe put one of the linebackers on a spy, because a lot of times if everything's covered, the quarterback will run. So that's another good defense to use inside the red zone. Or if they're running the ball on you, this is a defense I would come out in. But if they're really whooping my ass in the run, that's why I have other formations, like the 46 bear under, which lines up very much like the odd, but it lines up in such a way that it really stuffs the run pretty well. Then you can always go to the 4-3-6-1 even, or the even 6-1, which helps out a lot against the run. But normally don't have to do that. I can just stick with using the 3-4 odd. It does the trick. And a lot of times what I'll do is I will put it into a cover 2 shell, because you won't know what I'm doing, and that ties into what else I do, coming over to the nickel, that's why I have over here the 335 odd penny, which is a little bit different than the 335 odd or the 335 cub, which I will show in a moment, such as cover 6 Willie, where it has cover 2 man to one side, and then the other side is cover 4. And I think there's a couple other differences like that. I'm not sure if, come over here to nickel, if we come over to the cub, I'm not sure if it has quarters and palms in here. Yeah, see, it has cover 4 show 2, which is basically just a drop. So you can't use that here, but it has like the drop coverage there that penny doesn't have. So cub and penny lined up exactly the same, pretty much the same formation, but for some reason there's different plays. And again, good against the run, good against the pass. It's pretty balanced, and it has the same alignment as my 3-4 odd, where I have the nose tackle and the ends lined up very much the same. So I'm not changing alignments. I don't have to change the way I view things. And now and then I can switch over to the 3-3 odd, where the defensive line there is lined up in the same way. It just slides the linebackers over a bit to one side. Or I can switch over here, and I'll put this in a cover 3 so that it's balanced. So even if I come out in a cover 4, a cover 2, or what have you, some kind of too high, it still brings the safety down where it looks even, where you have one safety in the middle, you have 2 defensive backs to the left, 2 defensive backs in the right, and you have 6 guys in the box. And it works pretty well against the run because, not because you got big guys out there, because since you have 3 guys off the line, and if you're using one of them, the guards or the center or whoever, maybe a tackle, is coming out to block you in a run play. Since you're not a defensive lineman, they have to come after you, right? Which allows you to run around them. Or if they come after you and you lead them out, one of the other linebackers can go right behind them. So it actually works pretty well against the run, as long as you're good at keeping away from the linemen and shooting the gaps. It works very well. What sucks about it is it doesn't have really match zones in here. The cover 4 drop isn't bad, but when you do have a match like overload blitz 3, you may not want to be doing that blitz. So you would have to like change up what that nickel back is doing, what that linebacker is doing. The same thing here. Strong safety Mike blitz over to the left. That's a match coverage. You can tell by the pinkish kind of zones instead of the purple. Those are seam flats showing you that it's match. And again, you have a blitz, and you may not like that. So it kind of sucks that with those, you got to change the defense real quick, and if they quick snap you, it doesn't quite work. And you don't have a cover 4 quarters, you don't have a cover 4 palms. So that kind of sucks, but you do have cool things like the cover 2 drop there, where you get a lot of guys right back. That's good, again, in red zone if they're throwing the ball, because you can put one of the linebackers that's in the middle, you can put him on a spy and use the other one, so that everything's covered there. If they want to they got time and they're just going to run it, you got the spy on them, right? You can stick in coverage. So that's what I've been doing. It's been working pretty well against the computer. And that's basically what I will use. But you'll notice that I got obviously other formations. And I've been messing around with some. I forgot to mention when I do dime, I like the 3-2 because, again, I'm having the defensive line lined up in the same way. Same way if I'm coming out in the base 3-4, if I'm coming out in a nickel package, if I come out in a dime package, my defensive line is always lined up the same way. Got the nose tackle and then the 2 ends right on the tackles. So whenever I have a blitz from the 3-4 odd, I can apply it in the same way to the nickel and dime. or vice versa. I find a cool blitz from the dime, I can apply it to the nickel and the over to uh, the 3-4 odd. And I'm going to show you some of the things I'm doing in a moment. I'm just showing you the formations. One that I'm actually enjoying. Let me come over here. I know I've been using this one a bit, but you notice I do have 2-3-4 odd. This one I'm just kind of messing with. I'm not sure if I'll keep this in my playbook, but it has a similar alignment with the defensive line. That's why I decided to use it and mess with it. But this one is out of the ordinary. It's because I used to mess around with the wide. That's why I also have it over here in my 4-3. I have just two formations here. This here in the wide because I kind of like it because it spreads out the line where you're not in an even or an odd kind of alignment. And it kind of messes up with the running a little bit where you can't do necessarily a trap or something like that all too well. I mean, you can. It kind of makes you want to run inside because the defensive ends are so far out, kind of like you would get from a 3-4 defense. But then you have the three linebackers right there off the ball where you can shoot gaps. And that's what makes it pretty good even against the run, but also is very good against the pass, like the 3-4 where you have the outside linebackers outside the tackle. You get the same effect, but in it just changing up the formation a little bit. You don't have the nose tackle, which changes things up completely. So I mess around with that now and then. And you always want to have a switch up because doing a franchise, if I get linebackers hurt and I have more defensive linemen than linebackers, hey, I may want to switch over to a 4-3. So I can use my defensive linemen. I'll use two nose tackles as my tackles in the middle. Right? Or vice versa. If you're doing a 4-3 and your defensive line gets hurt, well, you can use more defensive tackles to be your defensive ends in a 3-4 and use more linebackers. You need to adapt when injuries and what have you happen. But I've also been messing around with this here, the wide. And again, I like how the base defense, the 4-3 wide, lines up with how the nickel wide defensive line lines up the same. So I can apply the same kind of schemes to it. Now the dime, I wish it lined up the same way, but it lines up in like an even odd kind of alignment. And I'll show you the difference right now. Now I'll get into how I basically run my defense. I'll put this in a cover 2 shell, but I'll come out. Let me make sure I got my audibles here. All right, we're good here. We'll come out in like a cover 3 match. This will be a base defense. It's no defense is perfect. I'm not really planning on showing against any plays. So let's just do this. You usually attack a cover 3 with verticals anyway. But you see this alignment here where this tackle is in a 3 technique. 0, yeah. And so is this tackle, where you don't have anybody over the middle. All right, you don't have the nose tackle there. Usually in like an even odd, one of them will be coming over here in like a 1 technique between the center and the guard. But these guys are out differently. And what this does, it actually allows me to do something pretty cool here, where you can't tell where I'm going to blitz from or if I'm going to blitz at all. But you see how this tackle that I'm on right now, he is slanted to go inside at the center, but this tackle is going to go straight into that B gap. Well, what this allows me to do is, because I will user one of these guys, sometimes what I'll do is I'll man up one of these linebackers on the running back, because that's going to be the weak spot of this defense, is the flats. Right? Basically, they're going to match. They do pretty good covering deep, but the flats will get open, especially if it's the running back, because everybody's going to drop back. So if he does an in and out, just goes over to the flat, nobody's going to be there. You have to user that, which takes you out of the middle. So put one of the middle linebackers, if they've recognized that and they're dumping things off a lot, you can put one of these guys manned up on them. They like to do a screen because you're doing zones all the time. You put one of these guys manned up, they do a screen, he'll come running down after him, hopefully make a play if you don't notice the screen is going on. But I don't do a lot of blitzing, but I'll do what is a user blitz. And this I can do from either side because you can't really tell which side is which because it looks the same. Now, if this was in an odd or even front where one of the DTs was over like this, you could tell, oh, he doesn't blitz from that side. He always blitzes from the DT that's in the 3 technique, which is what both tackles are in the 3 technique. So it's like, which way am I coming from? Right? And this is a very easy blitz. I think what you could even do if you wanted to is go to your defensive line and put that outside guy square here, and you could put him in whatever you want to do. Let's just put him in a vert hook, and we'll put this other linebacker in a spy because I plan on blitzing, right? So if they do something quick like a drag or something, the spy should pick it up, what have you. I can even, since they got the vert hook, I can go hard flats, and on the left, if they want to attack the vertical space there, the seam, the vert hook should hopefully do well enough. I know he's a defensive lineman, but he's also a linebacker playing defensive line, so hopefully he got good enough coverage to do something. And over here in this seam, he doesn't run super fast down there, so he kind of has the seam covered. It might keep them from actually throwing the seam. But I'm going to let this play run, and I'm going to show you what I like to do, since this guy, he's running into this gap over here. He draws the attention of the guard and the center, which means that on this side of the field that I'm on here, it's 2-on-3. And that's what you want. You get the center going the other way, right? Matter of fact, just to help out, I'm going to put that defensive end on a bluff blitz to really make sure he draws the attention of that tackle, just in case this doesn't work in the practice mode. So now it's the guard and the tackle against my DT, my end, and the linebacker that I'm using. So what ends up happening is there's a gap, and I do one of two things. If I decide I'm going to blitz, I come running in. I'm going to try to get in and wrap around and get into that B gap. But if the defensive end, for some reason, sometimes he comes inside, I'll run into the the offensive tackle. Right there, number 77, I'll run into him. And what ends up happening is either I come in through that B gap, or I hit the tackle and he takes me because I'm the inside guy, and he lets the defensive end go. And sometimes that's how you get the sack, because for some reason when you're using, if the running back is blocking, he focuses on you as the user. So he'll focus on me. I plan on either running by him or blowing him up to get the sack. But if not, I'm going to free up Collins here. And hopefully that works out. So I'm going to show it real quick. And of course, it didn't work out. But we'll run it a couple times to show you that. Hopefully I can get one where I get in. I can look at the replay. That time the running back picked me up pretty well. You don't want the bars to show up on your head, because that's when they're going to actually focus on you. You know what? I'm going to try to plow through the running back. I've been trying to run around him. Hasn't worked, because usually that's what I'm able to do. And if you really want to get the user sack, you can quarterback contain, so that if they try to run, they will not only hold them inside, but also, since Collins here, he's going to be doing a spy, he draws that tackle wider, which gives you a bigger hole for this B-gap blitz here. So boom, come in. and my defensive tackle got in my way and killed himself. But we'll run it a couple of times. If it doesn't work, we'll blame it on practice mode. I'm getting in. They're just throwing the ball pretty quick. Let's try it one more time, and we'll just call that quits here. Oh, man, I thought I could run by him. I think it's because I have my running backs all have over a 60 pass block, so they're all pretty good at picking up the blitz. But this also, I'll show another blitz in a moment. But I like using this because I can come out in this. This will be a base defense. You change just a few things up, and now and then, like it's 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15, you're pretty sure they're going to be throwing the ball. You can blitz in, or you bluff blitz. You come in, they're used to you doing it, and then you drop back. And I don't even mind blitzing to the same side the running back is on, because if they do a screen, I just come running in, and then I bounce over here and cover the screen. Because usually the screen is on the same side as the running back. Now and then they have a screen that comes over the middle or to the other side, but nobody really runs those, so you don't gotta really worry about that. And if you do, you just practice against it. But from here, this is a good defense that I'll use, especially against from what you're looking at here. It's a 2x2, right? They got two wide receivers to the left and right. They do have a running back, and he's over to the right, but unless he's out up on the line, he's not in the backfield. Yeah, he's technically 3, but I'm not going to call him 3. It's a 2x2, and the cover 3 will work pretty well against that. But let's say they're coming out in a 3x1. Let's say they motion number 67 over to the right, who's in the slot. They move him over to the other side. So we got a 3x1 or a 3x2, right? Well, what I'll do here is I will end up either going to a cover 6, so that to this one side, there's 3 guys, and if the running back wants to go over there to the flat or something, there's 3 on 2. And over here, to this side, I will user this guy. Sometimes I will user one of the safeties, and I'll explain why. But this has been working pretty well for me. Over here, we'll end up having 4 on 3. We box them in, and it works pretty well. But now and then, for some reason, this guy glitches out, and he lets somebody run by him. So if that happens, sometimes I'll user him. Sometimes they'll have a crosser, or for some reason they get a corner that keeps getting in. Even though that guy's in a soft squat, he does pretty good getting back. Sometimes I'll user this guy who's in the half zone here, the deep half. And what I'll do is I will look for corner routes coming from that slot guy or what have you, and a crosser. If somebody's going to come across the field, and right here is going to be a big area where they could get it. So I'll be kind of just sitting back looking for both. And then if I see, oh, they ran it, they threw something short, I can come running up. But you can also use the right stick to flick it to go wherever you want to go. But sometimes if they do 3x1, I'll change that up. You mix it up with a cover 9. So to their, again, let's say they motion 67 over to this side where I'm at. I will still user this guy, so it's still 4 on actual 3. But it's a cover 2 look, and it messes things up, especially if they want to do something like a crossing route, because this guy, he will pick it up, and you don't have to user that. And then they might think, oh, he's going to do cover 6 because I'm doing a trip set or a tray set, 3x1 set. And then you change it up. And again, worried about more of the run and just want to change it up where they think, oh, If one side's cover 4, the other side is going to be cover 2. Well, then we'll do what I have here, cover 4 palms. And that is good against trips because whatever side has the 3x3, you don't want to sit there and try to figure it out. You just have the whole thing be in cover 4. And since it's palms, the opposite side of the 3 receiver side, he will watch for crossers. This safety here. But if the 3 wide is on this side, this guy, he'll watch for crossers. Right? And the last thing is this blitz here. You see everybody using this. And they basically, what they like to do, it's not doing anything. What if I'm trying to pinch everything and nothing's moving? That's strange. But usually they'll pinch at least the linebackers and do this to turn it into a double mug. But I don't do that. What I like to do is I'll pick one or the other of these linebackers. And you see how both DTs are shooting the B gap? Well, what I'll do is I'll just take this guy and I'll do what I usually do. And I'll shoot the B gap. Oh, you see? So it looks again like I'm just coming out. It should be cover 2, but you can tell that this is different. And I can do the same thing over here. You just got to user it. It seemed to work better on the other side. Guess it's like Madden 24. For some reason, blitzes worked better coming from the left. But, yeah. So they slid it over. Well, let's try it again, and let's see. I want to try to make it more consistent. Since this guy is going for that B gap, let's bring him down so that he's noticed, he's picked up. Of course, he doesn't want to stay. Wonder if... Why did only this guy move? We'll just have to try it again. Glad it worked the first time. I just bumped into my guy. But you see how that works, just like I was showing. And this is something I would do back in the 90s with Madden and in the early 2000s. Have LeVar Arrington on the Redskins. He would play linebacker right here, and I'd just do 5-man. Or again, I can send this guy out into a coverage, and as long as that the center there looks over to that tackle, it's free. You see, that time I was able to go right in. And in game, it works very consistently. That's basically my defense there. But I want to show you if I get tricked a little bit, because you know sometimes they come out in a formation where you're like, oh, they got 2 tight ends or they got a fullback and stuff out there. I want to match personnel. Well, it's quite similar. You know, I can come out here with the cover 3 match. We're just going to stay with this Hail Jesus thing here. What I like to do here is I like to keep it where my nose tackle is always doing a 2 gap. And I like that my tackles are always going into the B gap. So I got all the gaps covered. They might not cover it perfectly, but I got it covered where my user can now take over. So now, oh, they spread out. I didn't know they were going to have 2 tight ends and come out like this. Well, I can leave it in the cover 3 match. Or now and then I mix in the zone, the cover 1 that looks like a cover 3. And again, I could go to a cover 6 or I can go to the cover 4 drop. But what I wanted to show is how this same concept works here. Even though this is not a a wide 9 formation, the defensive ends, they're pretty much in that same position those tackles were. Those tackles on the nickel wide there. They're pretty much playing in that same place, but now the center is guaranteed to be occupied, right? So what that means is if, again, here they can tell that I'm blitzing, or actually they probably think the other guy's blitzing because this guy's playing outside. You see how he's sitting out here? He looks like he's covering, and it looks like this guy's the one who's blitzing, right? But it's actually the guy on my side. And what that'll allow is the same effect, except they ended up allowing the other guy to come free. But you see how it does the exact same effect. Where I can come looping in here myself. And just now and then user blitz. And what I notice is when you user blitz, the people throw the ball faster because they can see your icon. They see you coming in. And they try to get rid of it faster. Usually. You know, not everybody's like that. So sometimes what you can do is see if I can do it without messing it up. Come down and then quickly come back and get ready to hit triangle. Because sometimes they'll try to throw it right over you. If they get used to it, they throw a quick slant or a drag or something. You can do that. And this is why I also don't mind using the 4-3 wide here, because it's pretty much, again, the same. But what you want to do is, of course, put like a cover 2 shell so it always looks the same. And you can come out like this. Sam Blitz 3 is not what I would use because the DT is always a little bit different. They don't seem to have a cover 3 match other than that. So what we can do is something a little different and come out in a cover 6. We'll still do this play just for whatever. And what you can do is this is not lined up in a wide formation. If you notice that tackle wasn't where he's supposed to be. So he's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to move over. So yeah, there's more of a wide 9. But you can see that this guy, again, he's going to be distracting that center because he's going to try to go to that A gap. So we would have to come over to this guy. We'll pinch the... Why aren't they moving? We'll bring them in like this so it looks the same. You don't know which side it would come in. And then it's the same effect as in the nickel. Right? But if you don't change anything, they can tell. You see what I mean? When you do an under-over front, you have this guy playing a 1 technique and this guy playing the 3, so they know the blitz is coming from this side. So you need to either spread it out before you get to the line or figure out why it's not coming out in the wide 9. Because it's supposed to be a wide 9. It's not supposed to come out like that. But I'm going to change the play because maybe it's just the cover 6 for some reason. That's what it does. But yeah, hold on a second. I got a message here. It's not supposed to come out like that. So let's just try a Tampa 2 here. Maybe I can show you. That is strange, because again, they're not supposed to go that far out. In the wide 9, they're supposed to be like here. Both of these guys are supposed to be in 3 techniques. This guy's in the right place, but this guy's not, and he's not going to stay there. So that sucks. I don't know why it's doing that, but as you can see here, again, I can shoot in there. But I'm just confused about why it's not coming out in the formation that it is. It's a wide. It's supposed to be the wide 9. I'm just going to check a couple more formation plays to see if it just comes out like that in certain plays. Yeah, see, there we go. Now they're coming out in the 3 technique. So for some reason, the cover 2 and the cover 6 has a tell to it, which sucks. So now you can tell which side is what, but that's how they're supposed to come out in the wide nine, both in three techniques. So now I can choose either side, and since the running back's on that side, I can be on this side. And for some reason, the computer took control. It didn't let me blitz in. I don't know what that was about. Let's try that again. Yeah, it keeps pulling me out. Last time was pretty strong, but maybe it's going to force me to blitz him, which is fine because I normally would not want. Which side does he go to? Of course he goes to that side. That's unfortunate. Alright, now that it should be fine here. But since I put him on a blitz, that you see how quickly they recognize it and pick it up. That's why I don't like to put him on a blitz, and I like to user it because he appears to be in a zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put him on a spy, and hopefully that allows me to quickly... Oh, it pulls me inside. I don't know why it's doing that. In games, this doesn't happen. I've never had this issue. Maybe I'll put him in a different zone. Let's try a vert hook. But I think you get the idea of my little scheme here. It's just keeping it simple. Real simple. And mixing things up. Not doing a lot of blitzes, but again, you can. Such as Fireman. Basically the same kind of idea. The only thing here is, again, it's not coming out in the wide nine. This is like an underfront or an overfront here. I can't remember if it's under when it's the guy over here on the left that's playing the one. And then the over is if he is in the one. I don't remember, but either way, this is the same kind of concept. Go to the side with the three technique, and then you can sneak in there. Again, not being very consistent, especially with the running back there. But, yeah. Matter of fact, with this one, what I would do here is, let's put this guy in a vert. We'll put this guy in a hard flat. So that side gets a little bit extra. Even though you throw where the blitz is coming from, so there's no reason for him to throw over there. So what, if you're good, you got the time, you can put that guy on the left, man coverage over here on the running back, then take the middle linebacker and put him on a spy or something. And there you go. This should be able to get in because the center is who you got to distract. He was distracted. I got by the running back, but he threw it pretty quick. It's basically, when you're thinking about blitzing, is you need to think about distracting the center. That's what you got to do. And then you got to isolate the guard and tackle. So you always wanted to be 3-on-2. Since the running back on the side, the best thing to do would be to flip it, right? And then we can put this guy in a spy. And we can put that guy on his side. Let's put him in a vert hook. So if they want to throw quick right there. And now we have the left tackle and left guard isolated with 3-on-2. Because the DT on the other side, he should get the center's attention. Should. They could pick this up with that right guard can pick up the DT on his side, and the center can shift over, right? But that's why you want it to look the same on both sides. And that's why it sucks that this isn't coming out in the actual wide nine, which is what it's supposed to be. I guess another Madden glitch here. But, yeah, so we got that isolation. And I got to him right when he was throwing it. I'll show a replay to show you that I'm only rushing 4 guys here. And you can apply this to anything, any formation. I'll show it to a dime formation in a moment here. So the focus here is this guy right here. He has to get the center, and he did. He gets the center's attention. You see that the right guard here, he wants to come over, but he's not going to get over and help in time. Right? And then I'm able to shoot the B gap. And in a game, he might have a bad throw because he's throwing under pressure or something. But he threw that pretty quick. You know, in a game, sometimes they're not going to throw that quick. The computer might, but other users won't. But again, let's change up the formation here to show that you can apply this to any formation. So let's take DB Blitz 0. You can do it with double safety blitz. You know what? Let's do it with double safety blitz, just to be different. All right. So you got the safeties coming down. What I would do here is I want my safeties to come down, but it's, what I would do is actually I would spread the line. I would have them crash out. So now they have to choose which side, right? In both sides, what you're trying to do is get a 2-on-3. If they're smart, they would shift the center over to the left so that it would be 3-on-3 on that side and then 3-on-3 on the other side. Because if they block the running back, you know, they got it. But that's where, if you wanted to just let the computer do it, what you do is you get the center's attention yourself. That's why you see a lot of people say, bring your linebacker down and hold L2 for a little bit to draw the center's attention. Now, you can't hold L2 and the computer will snap it in practice, so you just got to try to hold L2 fast after they hike. So you do that. Tried to get his attention, didn't work. I don't want to press, so I'm just going to try it again without pressing. Since that safety came down on his own, let's bring this guy down. What we'll do is just crash out with the defensive line. I'm not sure if this is going to work on this side because he's going to bring the center with him. And that's what happened. So we'll try the other side. It just, it sucks when it's not even on both sides because you can tell that, well, what side I'm going to go. And I was able to come right in. What I guess I would do to help out with this is quarterback contained. So now that guy should really get outside, which should open up that B gap. And it did, but the running back was right there. So you can just apply that. You just try to isolate. So what I want to do here is flip the play. Flipping the play actually brings both safeties down, so that's good to know here. And now I have that isolation that I want. Now I have the 2-on-3 on the left side, so I can put this guy in. Let's say we want the middle of the field. Let's do a hook curl. We'll take that defensive lineman, we'll put him in a spy. You know what, better yet, let's put him in a vert, right? Because we're just assuming he's going to throw to that side. That's where he's going to look. Boom, look at how big that B gap is opened. You see, it's about drawing the center's attention and isolating 2-on-3. That's how you get the blitzes in. That's what you just got to focus on. Distracting the center and isolating. And you could do this trying to think of a way to do it where you isolate like a guard center. But I'm going to wrap this up because I think this video's gone long enough. And of course, I need to tell you about things. We're enjoying football right now. But with this election coming up, we do not know how things are going to turn out. We really don't know what's going to happen with the economy, with the value of the dollar. We don't know if everything going on will lead to a civil war for a full-blown world war. So you need to make sure you're right with God. You know, football is fun. It's nice that we get to enjoy this and teach one another and learn from one another and have some fun and getting frustrated with this and what have you. But we don't know when our time's up. I mean, we could be playing Madden. We get frustrated with the bugs in it and frustrated with it just beating our ass. We get frustrated that we just suck at the game and we have a heart attack. We have an aneurysm, right? And we die. It sounds kind of funny, but these kind of things could happen. You never know when your time's up. God forbid this is not your time, but you just never know. You know, if everybody thinks it would never happen to me until it happens to you. And then you need to face what's coming. And the truth of the matter is that we're all condemned. We all are sinners that have sinned. And we all desire to sin, and the best we do is control ourselves. We're like well-trained dogs at best. We're not fit for heaven. Right? Just because a dog, part of your family, might be well-behaved, maybe better behaved than your own children. Right? You tell the dog to sit, it sits. You tell your children to go sit, and they flip you off. Call you some kind of bitch or something. Right? And the dog doesn't do that. The dog behaves better than they do. The dog's a better son or daughter than your actual sons and daughters at times, right? But it's still a dog. Doesn't matter how well behaved it is. It still has a dog nature. It's not your child. And that's why God tells us we must be born again to enter into the kingdom of God. Because we are dogs, and the best we can be is well-trained dogs. But even well-trained dogs are not part of the family. They're not going to get an inheritance. They're not going to get the blessing that your actual children are going to get. Your children can be rotten and rebellious, but they're still your children. You still love them. You're still going to take care of them, and you still provide for them. If it comes down to you have to save the dog, your children, and your children are disobedient, you're still going to save your children. So you need to be born again, and that happens at the cross. Jesus makes a way for you to die and give 100% of your life over to Him, that you could be reborn into His family as He raises from the dead into His body with His life and His righteousness, so that now you are fit for heaven, not because you earned it and you deserve it, but because now you're a child of God, and He's going to bring you home because you're His child. He's not going to go out of His way to save the dogs, even the family dog, when He has to take care of His children. So get born again while you can, so that no matter what ends up happening, your soul is secure. And you can count on that. And you won't have to make horrible decisions out of fear. Fear of being an outcast, fear of not having food or water, fear of not having shelter, fear of not having money, fear of not having security. You won't have to give in to the fear. You'll be able to be strong enough to even lay down your life knowing that it's already dead anyway. And it's not worth clinging to football to lose your soul. But thank you for watching. Hope you stay tuned as I break down more of the defense and the coverage and some blitzing. But it's basically simple, basic stuff like that. I'm not even that good of a user. That's why I'll end up blitzing at times like that. And I'll get into more of the run and shoot. I know I went into a little bit of it, but there's more to it. And it's actually kind of fun because you can call the same play and it's not the same play. Because of the option routes and the defense called a different defense, So now they do different routes. So they can complain that you're calling the same play, but you're not. So thank you for watching. Take care.